Hello and welcome to the Beyond Baba Yaga podcast, where I will attempt to reimagine the crone archetype to take the fear out of living child-free. I'm Josie and today I'm joined by Jess.
Hello.
Hi Jess, thank you so much for coming here all the way from Birmingham.
You're very welcome.
We've had a wonderful chat on the phone and really excited to talk to you about your experience of being a child-free woman. Could we just kick things off, just because I'm curious really, tell me what the landscape of your child-free life looks like.
So my child-free life, I really like it.
Good.
It's really good. There's been times where you feel very pressured to have children, and my husband and I felt this over the years. I can't have children now. I had cancer, and so for me, it's a no-go. Technically, on paper, I could, but I can't. It wouldn't happen. And so we've had to build a new life together, a new life child-free. And so it's been really fun navigating that and finding out, what do we actually enjoy? Where do we want to go? What do we want to see? I can do what I enjoy because we have no ties to children. I've got a lot of friends that will say, I can't go out there or I can't do this because of the children, where I don't have that tie. And for me, that's one of the massive bonuses of our life, really, that we can just do us.
You can say yes to anything you want to, really.
Yeah. We just do really nice things, and that's important. And I do stuff that makes my heart sing. We love going out for meals, so you can go to any restaurant and we'll go down to London and we'll go to a certain restaurant in London because we can. So we love going out for meals, love going away. We've also got a cinema pass and we'll just go, should we go to the cinema? It's like spontaneous instead of planned in advance. But then we also do things separately too. So he does the things that he really enjoys and I do the things that I really enjoy that he might not necessarily want to come to. So I really like going to raves and things like
brilliant.
that. I like going sea swimming and climbing up mountains, all those kind of things that we can just go, let's do that on Saturday morning and we'll go.
And actually, as you're talking, what you're describing to me is actually a life really led by the sort of the child part of you as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's
Does that make
so
sense?
important, especially after having cancer. You have to kind of tap into things that help you to heal and help you to rebuild again after that. I went on a retreat actually here in Bristol. Pennybron I went to. Brilliant place. And one of the things there was talking about what makes your heart sing, what brings you joy. Yeah. And just to heal yourself. To do those things was really important. So you do start making lists of what do I like. So I've been on a sewing course and I've learned how to sew and I've made dresses and things like that. I do like, I'm not very good at it, but I try, art. And I'll paint things and I love crafting and I love making things and I'll have a go at baking cakes and all those different things that just, I'll have a go and I'll see if I like that. And if I do, brilliant. And if not, then I'll leave it and I'll do something else next time.
Just to find what's fun for you.
Yeah, and it's about finding fun and joy helps you in your life, I think.
Oh, it helps so much. And I think it's just nice to reflect on, just because we might make the choice not to have our own children in our lives doesn't mean that we have to say no to having all that childlike fun and play and discovery and experimentation and doing things just for the joy of it. And like you say, and sort of being able to do that whenever you like, whenever you get the calling.
Because you're then satisfying that need inside of you, that joy. And I think a lot of people who do have children, they lose that joy because they don't have time. Their mind, their time, everything is preoccupied by their children. Yeah. And that must be really hard. And I have spoke to a lot of people over the years who have said that. I just don't know who I am anymore. Yeah. I've lost who I am because I've had children and my whole life is geared to looking after the children, sorting the children out, taking them to their social things, doing all of those things that you have to do as a parent. They lose themselves and they lose their joy, and I find that really sad that happens.
It is really sad, especially because you'd think that part of being a parent would be, you'll still be doing all the games and the playing, but it's different because the focus is it's entirely
You're the
for someone else.
facilitator.
You are just the facilitator, like you say. It's no longer about your own sense of joy. That's kind of put on the back burner a bit, isn't it? In order to prioritise
the child
and their experience, and also their just kind of structure and needs. And that takes up a lot of space, all that kind of stuff.
Planning and timings, and we still go to even child kind of places like the zoo and things like that because it's fun.
Of course.
But with a child, it's like a military operation. Because you have to really think, what do I need to take? What time do we need to go?
Yeah.
Do I need lunch? Do I need this? And it's so many things you have to think about for one trip. Where with us, it's like, should we go there? Yeah, come on, let's go.
When we first talked, Jess, on the phone, you told me about how you like to go on holiday to adults only resorts and hotels. I am totally intrigued and would love to go somewhere like that. What's the difference when you go away on a holiday like that?
Peace. I'm a teacher. So for me, I can only go on holidays, school holidays.
Yeah.
Obviously, we go away. There are children everywhere. And children are my job. They're not my social time. And so when I go away, I need a break from children. Absolutely. So choosing somewhere that's adults only, it's just calm, quiet, peaceful. We went on a holiday to Turkey and went to this gorgeous place in Turkey, adults only. And, you could do like sunset yoga. There was like a movie night. There was all these nice things that you can still do, but if children were there, it's just really noisy, really overpowering. Often when I go out with friends for brunch or lunch or anything like that, there's a lot of children around. We do ask to move because I don't want to be in the same area as lots of children making lots of noise. I find it really overwhelming sometimes as well when they're so loud. And I think it's because at school, I'm in control of that noise and I can stop it when I need it to. But in a public place, I cannot do that. So
you can't tell somebody else's child to be quiet.
I can't do the 1, 2, 3 eyes on me. That's not going to work.
That'd be great in a cafe.
Absolutely would. So that's why we pick them, because they're really lovely. You have great food there, which is really important. And I just think going to these places, you still have, again, all the things that bring you joy. Like we did a cocktail making class at one of them as well. That was really good. And I made bracelets as well. And so you still do all these joyful activities, but it's just calm, peaceful, quiet. If you want to read your book, you can. If you want to go and play in the pool, you can. But it's not overpowering of children and noise.
And actually, even just the pool alone, the difference between a pool where there are loads of children around and a pool where there aren't that many children around is a completely different swimming experience. Even if you're not properly swimming.
Absolutely, yes.
Sometimes I just like to float.
We call it pootling or bobbing. Just in the water, having a chat. That's lovely.
The noise that springs to mind is like shrieking.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It goes right through you.
It's a special kind of noise.
Yeah, that you just kind of like, oh my goodness.
I know.
Yeah.
And I think there's something really special about just floating in the water or being in the pool or being in the jacuzzi. There's something really meditative about that water experience for me, where I can sort of lose myself and I'm just in a very, very relaxed state. And that's precious. I think it's important for all of us to be able to get into that really relaxed state whenever we can.
And that's why you go on holiday. You go on holiday to relax. I don't go on holiday to listen to other people's children and other people shouting at their children.
I know. Which is equally uncomfortable to hear, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Someone berating their children constantly where it's just like, oh, I feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, and you think, I don't like this. And sometimes holidays, I think, can be quite a pressure cooker for families because you're all intensely together for 1 week, 2 weeks. And it probably is the only time of the year that you are all together. Yeah. So things do come out and things do happen. But highly recommend adults only.
I'm totally convinced.
Yes.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
So when we spoke initially, Jess, you told me that when you and your husband were considering the prospect of children, trying for children, everything involved with it, between you made a kind of pros and cons list. What were the big things that came up for you on whatever side?
The main thing was, do we want children in today's society? Do we want to bring another human being into this that we have now? There's so many things that, as a teacher as well, I see the struggles of parents, I see the struggles of children, I see the struggles of teachers trying to help these children. It's really, really tough. And I've been a teacher for quite a while now. So I've seen how just generally like technology has moved on. Social media wasn't around when I first started teaching.
Of course.
And you know, the lengths that we have to go to now to protect our children, it's so intense. And do I want to bring children to that? No, not really. And I do really feel for my nieces and nephews. I just think the world that you're growing up in now is so different to when I was growing up, and so different to even when I was 20, even when I was 30. It's so different. So the society was the main thing. Do we want children in this society? Absolutely not, no.
Really? And you both agreed on that?
100% we agreed on that. It was just, I don't want to bring children into this. It's just too hard. The next thing then was money, because children are extremely expensive.
Yeah.
I remember years ago, somebody said to have a baby in the first year, it's about £20,000.
Yeah.
And I would say that's at least doubled now, at least.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that with all the sort of bits
Buying
and
your
gadgets?
stuff, gadgets. You're not going to get your maternity pay because it stops after a certain while.
Yeah.
You've got to make sure that you've got enough money to be able to continue to live over that time. You know, I've had friends that have had to put nappies on credit cards because they have no money. And,
Really?
you know, that I never wanted to get into that position of having children where I had no money to be able to provide for my child, and I would not want to do that at all. So society, money, those are the two key areas.
They were the big ones?
Yeah, for us.
It's funny, actually, because I feel completely the same way about both, and thinking about the society aspect, not wanting to bring a new life into society and the world as it is right now, which I totally feel. And then I think, am I just being a bit nostalgic for how life was? Because I grew up in the 80s and the 90s.
Me too. Best times.
Completely.
Best times.
Am I being nostalgic for something because that's what I knew? And actually, this is all completely fine, because I feel like, have child-free women done this forever? Do you know what I mean? Have they always been like looking back on their childhood and gone, oh my God, now's not a good time?
Yeah.
Because for me, it really does feel real. But maybe it is all okay. I just feel like I can't get my head round it personally.
I think working in school really has opened my eyes. And like I said, I've worked in schools for 20 years, well, 23 years now. It really has opened my eyes to see how things have changed and how children have changed in their childhoods. They seem to only stay little for a really short amount of time, where I feel like even when we were growing up, I still believed in Father Christmas when I was 10. Do you know, like, children do not anymore. It's so different now. They're so connected with the world. We were not. We went to school, we did our thing at school, we came home, and it was very disconnected, where now everything's connected 24 hours a day. So I look at like cyberbullying, for example. We have to do a lot of talking to the children about it. We also have to deal with that a lot at school as well. These children are constantly connected via WhatsApp or messaging services, which they shouldn't be on because they're not old enough to be on them, yet they still are because parents allow that. We've had children set up YouTube channels without telling their parents and then putting their information out to the world, and we've had to have parents in and discuss that this is not safe for your child now. And I think times have changed.
Yeah. So just to change the focus slightly, a lot of us experience pressure from family and friends to have children. But when we first spoke, you told me about feeling pressured by medical professionals.
Yes.
To just prioritise even just the possibility of motherhood over your own health and even over your own life. Are you happy to just explain a bit about what happened?
So I was diagnosed with cervical cancer in 2016. I had my first operation 6 days after we got married, and from that they removed most of my cervix. And from that, they said that I don't think you'll need any more operations. I think we've got it all. It's all done. You do still need to go and see your oncologist just to discuss it all. Excellent. So we go along to the oncologist and he says to us, your margins are still very close. If we leave it, you will get cancer again. So your options are leave it, get cancer again. We redo the same operation again, but your margins could still be really close. You could get cancer again. We do a trachelectomy where they basically move my cervix and the neck of my womb, remove that and pull then my womb down to attach it to my vagina. Or they do a full hysterectomy. They call that the belts and braces.
Yeah.
So I'd had my first operation 6 days after we got married. Then I had to wait 2 weeks. Then we were like officially diagnosed. Then we went back. So this was around December time. They wanted to do it before Christmas as well. And we said, absolutely not. We're going on a honeymoon. That's our time. We're not going to be pressured into doing this. Because this is a huge decision now.
Of course.
Of what? Because it's either children or no children at this point. And that's what we went away to discuss. So we had lots of different talks about it. But at 36, as I was then, I was already classed as a geriatric mum. And they were very much pushing towards, you've just got married and you want to start a family. And that was the narrative all the time. And so we had this discussion, but they kept on focusing on the trachelectomy, which is the fertility-saving option. And that's what they kept saying. This is the fertility-saving option. They arranged for us to have a discussion with a fertility doctor to discuss options there. One of the options was to freeze our eggs. But it was also geared to, you can still have children. You can still have children. We just wanted someone to say, just have it out. Just get rid of it.
Yeah.
It was so pressure to have the fertility saving, and also pressure from family. That was another thing. It was very much like, well, that's what you do. You get married, you have children.
Yeah.
And then as time ticked on, and then we did go for that option. And I think it was really difficult, that decision. My husband was very much about having that. I wanted it all out. I wanted it gone. Done. It's finished then. No more periods. Brilliant.
Yeah.
No more worry about anything. And now I can't have a hysterectomy because the way that the scar tissue is fused to my bowel and my bladder, there'd be irreparable damage if I had a hysterectomy. So afterwards, I bled for 6 months continually. I now have to have the Depo-Vera injection to stop me bleeding. I don't want to be on the pill, but I have to be on the pill to stop the bleeding because it was just continuous.
Yeah.
My iron levels went down. I had to retrain my bladder to work again. I had a catheter and then I had to self-catheterise because my bladder wouldn't work because of this operation.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have happened if I had a hysterectomy. The scar tissue that I have, the muscle loss that I've had in my stomach as well because of that operation. I was in the surgery for 7.5 hours because it's a really big surgery where the other one, we were just cutting it out, it's gone.
Yeah.
There were so many things that happened that we regret and we can't change it now.
Yeah.
And that's really sad. And I feel let down that I wasn't given the whole picture. I was given one side of the picture.
And with that, I feel angry on your behalf that why were you not absolutely prioritised, as in your chance of a full life and recovery, which obviously the best chances of that were with the hysterectomy. Why was that not given the importance that it deserved? Because people were so hung up on this other thing as just like a maybe. A baby that you might have one day in the future is somehow more important than you right here today.
Yeah.
Jess, you've talked a bit about your work as a teacher, but I am curious, I suppose, on a day-to-day basis, what is it about teaching? You know, you've alluded to kind of the social media and the cyberbullying. What is it about teaching that has most impacted your choice not to have children, would you say? What have you witnessed or experienced that really has felt most like, ah?
I love my job. I absolutely love my job. You know, I realised from quite a young age I wanted to be a teacher. I used to be the area babysitter, and I just love my job so much. But it has really changed, and parenting has changed, and I just see parents struggle. I really do. And, you know, I've spoken to a lot of parents over the years at different schools that I've worked at, struggling with various different things in life. It's really hard because you see parents choosing to have more children even though they're struggling.
Yeah.
And that's really hard. Struggling with money or accommodation or just general life skills as well, to be able to look after their children. And it's really hard. So I feel like if I can help the children I work with, a big thing at the beginning of the year, I read them this book called Our Class is a Family. And we really talk about we are a family. In this classroom, we are a family, because we're at school for 6.5 hours a day.
Yeah.
And my job is to make sure that every child in my class is loved, cared for, and I treat them like my children. My job also connects that maternal feeling as well. But I do just see mums losing themselves, not knowing who they are, which I touched on earlier, and just generally struggling with life. And that's really sad. And for me, I think that was another point that made me think, I don't want to be that person where life is really hard and life is tough and I've lost who I am and I don't know who I am anymore.
Yeah.
Because my life is totally consumed by children.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's your life.
Because once you've got to that point, it's very difficult, I would have thought, to come back out again.
Yeah. And, you know, I've seen all various ways of parents struggling, but again, it does come back to money and just can I cope with all of these things that are happening? You know, children with need, various different types of need. That's really hard. I've had parents after COVID losing their jobs.
Yeah.
And then they were stuck. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to turn. And I think schools now as well have really become a whole host of everything, really. We're social workers, we are carers, we're teachers, we housing officers sometimes as well. You know, we've had parents that have totally lost their house and they are homeless, they have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And all of those things, I think, for me was, if I have a child, that could happen to me as well.
Completely. Exactly. I'm not invulnerable. I could fall victim to any of those kind of things as well. My
friend worked for a homeless charity, and she said we were all 1 to 3 paychecks away from being homeless. That hit home really hard, because you think, well, if I can't look after myself, how can I look after a child as well? I mean, I have parents that are great, but you can't always rely on other people. And some parents are really alone. It's just them. They don't have a support network. And I think that's key as well. If you don't have that support network, you're lost. And it's really sad, and it's a real shame for those parents. And we try our best to make sure that they are looked after, cared for. They know that they can come to us. We have options for them. We provide lots of different things at school to help those parents. But I think that was a key thing of seeing the hardships of parenting. I didn't want to have that as well.
No, life is hard enough.
For some parents, it's incredibly tough. And some parents, it's great, you know. You do have families that have an abundance of money, an abundance of time, or a really good support network around them. But some people are alone out there, and they do not have anybody, and they don't know where to turn. And school often is a place that they can come to, because they know us. We've built that relationship with them. But it takes time sometimes as well for them to open up to you.
Yeah. People don't want to admit that they're struggling, do they? And I think admitting that you're struggling with parenting is one of the hardest things for people to do. 'Cause
you feel like a failure. Again, it's that influence of society. And I have had parents say that I'm just a failure. No, you are not. Not at all. Because you're here now and we're discussing it and we can sort it out. And that's the thing. Yeah, it's really tough. Yeah.
Jess, let's end on a high point.
Yes.
Have you got any exciting child-free adventures on the horizon?
I certainly have.
Tell me.
So, when I was in Cornwall in the summer, I went sea swimming with my cousin. First time I've been sea swimming as an adult in the English Sea first time ever. I've been on a holiday, but because it's warm. I'm an open water swimmer anyway. I've done the Great North Swim.
So what's the difference when you sea swim?
Well, I've always swum in a wetsuit. That's always been my thing. And my best friend's like, no, come on, don't need a wetsuit. I'm like, yes, I do. I get cold. 'Cause I do really feel the cold. But when I went sea swimming with my cousin, I didn't wear a wetsuit. Well, I couldn't take it because there wasn't enough room in the car. So we were camping. So I thought I've just got to brave it. So I did it. I was like, I love this idea. I think I want to do this. Now, I live in landlocked Birmingham, so for me it's a bit more tricky. But I spoke to my best friend. We were going to Hampstead Heath Ponds and we're on the train. So we're like, right, we'll discuss where we can go and what we can do. And then we're going to just pick different places around the country once a month. And we're going to do a sea swim once a month without a wetsuit as well, even in the winter.
Very bracing.
I know.
I bet you feel amazing afterwards, like completely rejuvenated.
Even in the summer, so going in the summer in Cornwall, I don't know the water temperature in the sea, but it was cold to it initially to get in, but it was beautiful afterwards. And you just feel so calm and refreshed and balanced, and I love that.
Amazing. So you're going to be embarking on almost like a UK tour of different sea swims.
So I love a bit of kit, and so I've brought my best friend and myself a hoodie. So we're going to be the turtles on tour, the sea turtles on tour. I'm really looking forward to it.
Brilliant.
Just going around the whole country and also seeing different places.
Yeah.
And just having an adventure again. It's just exciting to do that. And
completely. Again, keeping connected to the child.
Yes.
I don't like the term inner child. I feel like it sometimes makes me feel a bit weird. But it is that child part of a personality, isn't it? Which never goes, never dies, is always there. And it's important that we keep nurturing it and fulfilling it.
Yeah, absolutely, because that's what keeps you happy. It helps with your mental health. It helps with just being generally positive, and you can tackle life better when you're in a happy place in your mind. When I was first going through my cancer diagnosis, my oncologist said to me, your cancer is as much in your cervix as it is in your mind. So you need to decide how you're going to deal with that, because your mind will take over if you let it.
Yeah.
And I always hung on to that, and that's, I think, from that point onwards, just thought I need to just live. I need to just live and experience and love life, because it's so short and it'll go before you know it. So yeah, and it's been 8 years now, and we just do loads of nice things.
Great, just fully embracing it all.
Absolutely.
Oh, Jess, thank you so much for coming in. I've absolutely loved chatting with you. It's been perfect. It's been fantastic.
Thank you for inviting me.
And thank you so much to Sharon for recording and producing this. This has been the Beyond Baba Yaga podcast.